How's it going, everybody? I'm Lewis, and we've got the Hidey Holes and Miniquests update from the Old School RuneScape team. So let's get straight into this by having a look at the Hidey Holes, or as you might prefer to call them, stash units. For treasure trails, many players have got hundreds of items in order to complete emote clues. If you're unfamiliar with emote clues, they are basically where you have to go to a location, wear a certain set of items, and perform an emote. Because of the high number of emote clues we have in game, many players have put all of the items that they require to do these into their banks, and obviously that is costing them a lot of bank space. With Hidey Holes, this will become no longer an issue because you'll be able to take those items out of your bank and put them into places near the emote clue locations. Due to the large number of emote clues we have in game, there are various number of Hidey Holes around the entire game world. Hidey Holes are tiered based on the tier of clue scroll they come from. So easy Hidey Holes require level 27 construction to create, and they require regular planks and nails. Medium Hidey Holes require level 42 construction, requiring oak planks and nails. Hard Hidey Holes require level 55 construction with teak planks and nails. Elite Hidey Holes require level 77 construction and mahogany planks and nails. And Master Hidey Holes require level 88 construction with mahogany planks, nails, and a golden leaf. These are going to be incredibly useful, especially for players who love doing clue scrolls. However, I personally would recommend that you don't rush out and try and create all of the Hidey Holes immediately. Go along whilst you're doing your clues, because there are 108 locations for Hidey Holes, which is a lot. But obviously that just depends on the sort of player you are. If you like doing that, fair enough to you. Additionally, as a side note, you cannot use these in dead man mode. Moving on to the Last Man Standing beta. They recently opened applications for a Last Man Standing beta, and apparently they had over 15,000 applicants to that, which to me suggests that it's going to be a very popular minigame if it comes out brilliantly. They've chosen just under 2,000 players to test this minigame and provide them with valuable feedback. If you're one of those 2,000 players, well done getting into the beta. I really hope you give them some valuable feedback and enjoy playing it. As for everyone else that didn't get into the beta, I'm sure they'll be opening an open beta in the future. I've seen plenty of people asking for it on the 2007scape Reddit, because there's not too many people actually going on to the Last Man Standing beta world. I'm sure if it was open, more people would be going on it themselves, as opposed to just these 2,000 people being limited. I don't really know why they did limit it. Potentially they just wanted to have one world and didn't want to argue about people always finding it difficult to get into that world. Either way, I hope the Old School RuneScape team get a lot of feedback based on this beta, and when they introduce the minigame into the main game, it'll be very interesting and lots of fun. Moving on to the mini-quest list. They've added a mini-quest list to the bottom of the existing quest list. This allows you to track your progress through the mini-quest, and you can actually check which ones you've completed, which ones you've started, and which ones you haven't started, which will be incredibly useful, although I was under the influence that they were going to add it as a new tab, like we've got with achievement diaries, mini-games, and favour. But oh well, being at the bottom is just fine. Moving on to the early display name change with bonds. Old School RuneScape bonds can now be redeemed to bypass the cooldown on name changes. So if you want to change your name and you're in the cooldown period, you can just use an Old School RuneScape bond and get past that. To do this, go to the bond interface in the settings tab, and then you'll be able to choose the early name change for one bond option. Once you've done this, you'll need to go to the main RuneScape website to access the display name change section to change your actual display name. If you've got any questions about changing your display name, make sure you visit the RuneScape Help Center, because it's got all the information you need for that. Next this week, we've got the Pothole Dungeon expansion. The Pothole Dungeon, which contained lots of Jogers, has now been expanded. There's an upstairs area where there are plenty more Jogers for players to take on. So if you're someone that kills lots of Jogers, this is going to be really useful for you. Finally this week, in other news, we've got some smaller updates and some bug fixes. A medium clue scroll has been moved out of the wilderness for consistency with other clues. Heraldic kite shields and helmets will now be converted to their standard versions upon death in PvP, which I believe has been a long time coming. I've seen a lot of people complain about that in the past. However, potentially the Old School RuneScape team realised fixing this would help them when they do the untradeable update for PvP. The amount of nightshades given when harvesting has been increased to 3. Pest control portals will now block range attacks passing through them. The examine information on ornamented god swords have been changed to better reflect their appearance. Where possible, clue nests will now appear next to the player rather than just under them. Brugson has been moved away from the combat zone in the Grand Exchange. Clue caskets dropped by crocodiles will now be placed in the player's inventory. And Fair Enough certificate can now be given a bank placeholder. They fixed an issue where the liar would show through a player's legs. Certain tasks from the Lumbridge and Draenor achievement diary can now be completed on the upper floors of the Lumbridge castle. Using spellbook swap on the ancient gate in the Legends quest will no longer cause the spellbook to remain swapped, which I find is quite an interesting bug, having somewhere where you completely change your spellbook permanently. You can no longer enter death to the Dungeon instances when schooled on Deadman mode. A stretching issue with God Swords has been fixed. Releasing toads in the duel arena will no longer cause a delay. They fixed an issue where the family crest easy Falador task would not always complete first time. They've resolved an issue with the herb sack and the bank. They fixed an issue where incorrect wizard type would spawn when doing some hard clues. The Clue Hunter outfit can no longer be taken to Entrana, which is quite good because it had a few combat stats. Watson will no longer take clues that he already has when offering all clues. They fixed an issue where an emote clue on the agility pyramid would not always work. You can no longer bypass a master skill challenge by dropping it and completing a different master skill challenge. A stretching issue with the Anku outfit has been fixed. Alice's husband can now be spoken to when wearing the Mauritania legs 3 and 4 because he's a ghost, and those two items have ghost speak properties. They fixed an issue where a small area of the current catacombs were not multi-way combat. Using purple or white firelighters on inappropriate logs will now provide an appropriate message. They've corrected some text when buying a smithing cape from Thurgo as the wrong perk was listed. They fixed a spelling error on an elite clue scroll riddle. Killing Ankus located in the wilderness will now work for clue scroll tasks. They fixed an error where the wrong NPC was listed when handing in a hard anagram clue scroll. The Ring of Suffering Eye now has the correct wield requirement. And free-to-play players can no longer obtain the Clue Hunter outfit as it's a members item, which is interesting because I believe all the locations to get the outfit are members only. So all these updates today seem very nice. The Hidey Holes is obviously an amazing supplement to the Treasure Trail expansion we had recently. I think it will be very interesting to see how the Last Man Standing beta goes along, and everything else has been a really nice small quality of life update or a nice bug fix. With plenty of bug fixes happening to the most recent Treasure Trail expansion, and still quite a few happening to achievement diaries, even though it's been well over a year since we got them. If you want to discuss this update, please go on the forums or do so in my comments below. If you're interested in the latest Old School RuneScape developer blog, please click here for raid rewards too. And if you're interested in the latest Old School RuneScape update, please click here for the Treasure Trail expansion. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share, and if you want to keep up to date with the Old School RuneScape updates, dev blogs and polls, please subscribe. I've been Lewis, thanks for watching, goodbye.